Okay, so here I want to explain you about intersymbol interference. So I'll explain the issue, what it means, and how you can imagine it. So let's say your PCM output is this signal, encoded output 10101, and this you are sending into the transmitter. Okay, so now if you look closely, you are sending one rect signal in time domain for each bit 1. Okay, so for rect signal your Fourier transform is a sinc signal, and it requires infinite bandwidth in frequency domain, but your channel will not be able to provide infinite bandwidth, so it tries to compress the signal. So channel tries to compress the signal, which will lead to expansion in time domain. So when you send one rect pulse, you should be ideally having this signal, but channel won't be able to provide infinite bandwidth. That's why it tries to compress the signal. And what happens in time domain, instead of this signal you have this, so it is a bit spreaded, you can see. Okay, in time domain, expansion in time domain. So if you have this kind of signal, what you will actually have is, this is your main signal, but you actually have your time domain signal like this. So you can see the pulse is a bit spreaded. Okay, due to this reason, since the channel won't be able to provide infinite bandwidth, it tries to compress the signal, which will lead to the expansion in time domain, which will look like this. Instead of this signal, the voltage levels, you will get the expanded signal. And you can see in this type, if this type of signal will be there in time domain, you can see there is a overlapping in TB and 3 TB. So this overlapping is called interference. Okay, so when one the pulse for the pulse for this bit 1 and the pulse for this bit 1 is getting interference at TB, you can see. So this is called intersymbol interference, and this you don't want. You try to avoid this, because intersymbol interference leads to error in transmission. Okay, so what you do instead of representing your signals in rect form, you represent your signal in sinc form in time domain, so that its Fourier transform will be rect signal in frequency domain, and the channel will acquire only a certain bandwidth. It does not have to give infinite bandwidth to the signal. So instead of representing your signal in rect form, you will represent your signal in sinc form, just to avoid this intersymbol interference. Okay, so I have written whatever we saw in words. So in representing, first point is in representing binary sequences with rect pulses, ISI will occur. Second point, actual bandwidth of rect pulse is infinite. That is, if you have your rect signal, the Fourier transform is sinc, and it requires infinite bandwidth. So the actual bandwidth of the rect pulse is infinite, but channel will not be able to accommodate signal bandwidth of infinite. So channel tries to compress the spectrum, which leads to expansion in time domain. And due to spreading of pulses, adjacent pulses will be interferenced with each other, and this is called ISI, intersymbol interference. And due to ISI, error will occur in transmission. So to avoid this situation, what we do, we represent binary sequences with sinc pulses instead of rect pulses. That we'll see now. So here I have shown you how to represent your signal. Instead of representing it with rect signal, you are representing now with sinc signal, just to avoid ISI. So you can see, if you have 1010 bit you want to transmit, so this is your sinc pulse for this bit 1, then there is 0, then for this bit 1 you have included one more sinc pulse, and that is in time domain. You are representing your bits in sinc form in time domain, so that you won't face ISI. So that is how you represent. Okay. Okay, so now let's look at the bandwidth part. So previously when you were representing the signal with rect signal in time domain, you had a frequency domain signal looking like this. This is the main lobe part. So we are only interested in main lobe because most of the information is contained in main lobe. So if the width is TB, this is 1 by TB minus 1 by TB, and the bandwidth is the positive part, that is RB. 1 by TB is equal to RB. That is frequency domain, that is time domain. Now you are representing your signal with sync pulse. So this will look like this. Okay, and the width is 1 by RB minus 1 by RB, and the second point is 2 by RB. This is minus 2 by RB. Now why we are giving the half width is 1 by RB? Because when we represented our signal, so you can see for one bit period we had the half width of sync. That is why this is 1 by RB, which is nothing but TB. This is minus TB. So corresponding Fourier transform of this signal will look like this: minus R, which will have the value amplitude between minus RB by 2 to RB by 2 in frequency domain. So you can see if the width is TB in time domain, your half width is 1 by TB in frequency domain. Similarly, if you have TB half width in your time domain, you have 1 by TB width in frequency domain. Okay, so I hope things are clear. Now the one thing you should note here is previously we were having bandwidth of RB. Ideally it should have infinite bandwidth, but practically what we are having is RB bandwidth. But when we are representing the signal with sync function, we are getting bandwidth is equal to RB by 2 which is half of what you are using in previous case. So it's a good thing to represent your signal with sync functions. Here now one more thing I want to mention here. When you are representing your signal with sync, your bits with sync function in a time domain, what you are getting in frequency domain is a rect signal. But this rect signal is, you can see it has sharp edges, so it's a very high slope you can see. So this is usually not realizable physically. So that's what we do. What we do, we use a parameter alpha and we manipulate the slope, this slope or this edge of the rect signal in frequency domain. Okay, so let's say this signal is for alpha is equal to 0 minus RB by 2 to RB by 2, and this is your rect signal. For this you have sync signal in time domain. Okay, so now if you change the value of alpha, it will become more smooth. You can see the slope is getting smooth. Now if you see it has been expanded, this signal has been expanded, it feels like, and this is for alpha is equal to 0.5. Similarly, if you increase the value of alpha to 1, it will become more smoother, and the more it will be, the curve will have lesser and a lesser slope, you can see here. So alpha generally varies from 0 to 1. Okay, and this is called as roll-off factor. Now if you are changing the signal in frequency domain, this will affect your time domain signal as well. So since you are expanding the signal in frequency domain, there will be a compression in time domain. So for the first case you had for alpha equal to 0, it is proper sync function, that is alpha equal to 0. Now the only change you will see is the amplitude level of side lobes. If you increase the value of alpha, you will get lesser and lesser amplitude of side lobes, while the main lobe is intact with the same amplitude. Okay, and the crossings are also same. This will also be minus TB to plus TB. The only difference will be the amplitude of the side lobes. You can see the alpha equal to 0, the amplitude level is higher, and the alpha equal to 1, the side lobe amplitude is less. So for this first case alpha equal to 0, you will have pakka sync function, but for the other cases you will have the time domain, corresponding time domain signals as raised cosine pulses. Okay. So then if you manipulate this signal with the role of factor, this will become physically realizable and your time domain signal will look something like this. Okay, so whatever I said I wrote here. With alpha is equal to 0, corresponding time domain signal is called as sinc pulses. With alpha is not equal to 0, corresponding time domain signal is called as raised cosine pulses. Okay, for raised cosine pulses, your bandwidth will be equal to P0 1 plus alpha. This is the modification in the bandwidth. Okay, if you put the value of B0, that is RB by 2, you will get the bandwidth in terms of alpha, that is RB by 2 into 1 plus alpha. So you manipulate the value of alpha, you will have different bandwidths. Okay, so if your alpha is equal to 0, your bandwidth will be equal to RB by 2, that is ideal case where your time domain signal will be sinc pulse, and if your alpha is equal to 1, your bandwidth is equal to RB. Now note here, with alpha equal to 1, the bandwidth of raised cosine pulse is same as rectangular pulse. Means when you are representing your bits with rect pulses, you had your bandwidth is equal to RB, and that you can achieve in this case by putting the value of alpha is equal to 1. Okay, so I hope you get a clear picture how the system is realizable now depending upon the value of alpha, and you can picturize the waveforms in time domain and frequency domain. Okay, so let's look at an example on intersymbol interference. A message signal of given that a message signal of 10 cos 2 pi 10 to the power 4t is given to PCM. Each sample is encoded with 8 bits. The resultant binary sequence is transmitted using raised cosine pulses. You have to find the transmitted bandwidth in case of alpha equal to 0, alpha equal to 0.5 and alpha equal to 1. So first of all, you know that R of bandwidth is equal to RB by 2, 1 plus alpha. So alphas are given. The only thing we don't have is RB. So first we will calculate RB, that is N into Fs. Your N is given as 8, so 8 into Fs is since it is nothing is given, so we will sample at Nyquist rate. Okay, so now you have Fm is equal to 10 to the power 4. So 8 into 2 into 10 to the power 4 is 160 kbps, kilobits per second. So this is your RB. Now your bandwidth can be calculated, transmitted bandwidth, that is RB divided by 2, 1 plus alpha. For first case, if alpha is equal to 0, so RB by 2, that is 80 kilohertz. Then for second case, alpha is equal to 0.5, that comes out to be 120 kilohertz. And for third case, you have alpha equal to 1, so bandwidth comes out to be 160 kilohertz. Okay, so you can get a feel of how question can be asked. So basically the bandwidth, your bandwidth will change, and you won't face any intersymbol interference in this case if you will represent your bits in sinc forms or raised cosine forms. Okay.